So, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one. It'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. It doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. Billy Sewell with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
Be calling things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser. All right. It is Victory Sunday for the Detroit Lions. Man, what an epic game to be at. Such a good vibe today. Hey, first and foremost, man, I want to jump right out and say what's up to Derek at Lion Syndicate. Had the chance at meeting him today. Stopped down to the seats. Thanks for stopping in, Derek. It's a pleasure to meet you, man. Albeit short, got to catch up. We got to have a great conversation about some Lions football. If you guys haven't had a chance yet, check out Lion Syndicate. Derek does a wonderful job, man. He did an after show tonight. I was trying to watch it on my way home. I just had real crappy service, but he did some call-in feature, man, and he did an excellent job. I loved it. Wish I would have had a chance to call in tonight because I got a lot to talk about. By myself tonight, as you guys know, Andy's still recovering. Wish him well, but he'll be back soon, hopefully. Secondly, Zavala for the Panthers. Man, what a wicked injury today. Thankfully, no ambulance was brought onto the field, and he was able to get to the hospital, get some treatment. He's moving, his arms, his legs, everything's moving. He's talking. So good for him. Our thoughts and everything are with him. Lions fans, as always, do an excellent job at giving their respect to the players when they're injured on both sides of the ball. Thirdly, I think I want to say something that I never thought I was going to see again, which was the wave in Ford Field. Haven't seen it for years, maybe over a decade. And our corner down in 139, we tried to get it going. We tried and we tried and we tried, and we finally got it to go around once or twice. And I'd say about 10% of the stadium participated. So when you guys get to your next game, make sure you participate in the wave. That is something of long-standing tradition for the Detroit Lions football at the Silverdome. And probably even before that. But that would be way before my time, and I wouldn't have been there, so I wouldn't know. But at the Silverdome, the wave was huge. We used to do it all the time. Win or lose or draw, man. It's just the players get into this stuff. They feed off that energy. And they were feeding off our energy today. It was a packed house. It was a loud house. It was an amazing win for the Detroit Lions. And I think what I want to do, though, is I'm going to come back this week. The All-22 doesn't load up for, I think, at least 2 days. I want to break down some tape with everybody. I just want to go through it, for the first time. I'm not going to spend all day editing. I'm just going to pull it up and we're going to go through it. And I'm going to, find some plays and just talk about it. So we'll spend an hour doing that with you guys this week and see what you think. There are some things, and I'm going to show you something tonight too. I did pull up one play here that I could find, and it was something that I talked about on Friday. If you guys are here and you're listening and you're watching the show, Number one, I said this was going to be a Lions win. I didn't think it was going to be close. Yes, I was worried that it could have potentially been a trap game and we were going to overlook these Panthers. But everything that we broke down and that, we spoke about on Friday, for the most part, happened today. And it was good to see that the Lions came in prepared and they executed at such a high level today. It didn't seem like they weren't getting sacks, right? And we expected a lot more sacks, but Bryce Young, he was able to evade. He wasn't successful, right, at all when he evaded. He didn't create plays. I think he only got 2 first downs, when he was using his legs to escape the pocket. Oftentimes he was throwing the ball away. And that's great to see. He was under pressure from all sides, and the pressure is what got to that Panthers offensive line today, and Young didn't have enough time. In the beginning, right? In the beginning of the first offensive drive for the Panthers, what we saw is what we expected. On Friday, I said that Bryce Young is going to throw everything under 9 yards. The Lions should line up and keep everything under 12 yards. And we saw that. And then I'll show you a play here in a little bit, exactly what I'm talking about. But Bryce Young had 1 deep ball today. And by deep, I think over 20. I think he threw 1. And I won't know that stat for sure, at least until tomorrow when the rest of the stats are released and everything comes out through Pro Football and PFF. So I'm definitely going to come back and look at this one and break down some tape with everybody. If you want to join me, I'll set everything out probably tomorrow and get it all set up probably for Tuesday is my guess. Congratulations, Taylor Decker, 100th game for being a Detroit Lion today. His 100th start. So congratulations to him. He's the oldest guy in the team right now, the longest tenured guy in the team, at least. And he's a key element to this running game. And our running game is working. I'm glad that Gibbs got the rest today because he was not needed at all. And the one thing I'm scratching my head on is, it's good to see Bam Bam Knight get in the game. Unfortunately, he went out with what is believed to be a concussion. But why was he in before Craig Reynolds? Maybe we just didn't see enough of Bam Bam. Maybe we didn't see him get started and get rolling. But when Craig Reynolds touches the ball, this guy is as elusive as anybody else on the team at times. And he's able to pick up chunk plays. And he is fast. He's faster than I thought, at least. Getting to see him more up and close and personal today, sitting in the 9th row, was excellent for being able to view the plays and be able to really see the speed, of these guys up close and personal. And it's not that we have bad seats. We have wonderful seats where our season tickets are. But today we had different seats and it was a great view. I do want to thank the Detroit Lions for what they did today. They really, went above and beyond, for sharing with everybody, the different stories that people are battling, their cancer or lost their battle or continuing to battle. And Megan and I both have gone through cancer over the last 16 months, and we both have beat it so far. So it was nice to be part of that today, and we certainly appreciate it and appreciate the efforts by the Detroit Lions to reach out and help people around the community. Before I get any further, I'm going to jump into the chat. Let's see who's in. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking tonight. This Detroit Lions team is definitely for real. Lions Syndicate, hey, man. Yes, nice to see you too. Fist bump right back at you, man. Mike Miller, what a complete game. Great job, men. Yes, it was. It was really a complete game. All sides were clicking, and it was really nice to see. Didn't like seeing Jared Goff be dumped, for the 2 or 3 sacks that I think he took. And he took some hard ones. And one of my notes that I have here is he's tough as nails. Like he took some hard hits today. And there was a couple of them that I was worried about, and he just bounced right back up. He shook it right off and jumped right back in. Myers Farm, hey, haven't seen you in a minute, man. Nice to see you back in. You said, all right, hoping you were on tonight. Go Lions. Yeah, tonight was different because I had a 3-hour drive home after the game. I like to get on around 5 when I'm home, but those are going to be away games, obviously. And I screwed up when I put out the schedule, so I changed it last minute today to 8 p.m. We made it just in time. Thanks for jumping in. It's good to see you back. Had to watch the game on ESPN Gamecast, and it was still exciting. I have not watched the game on ESPN Gamecast. Give me just a second. I need to grab a Kleenex real quick. It's been a cold day. So, excuse me there. All right. Mike Miller says he was impressed with key weapons down. Next man up. Yes, it was good to see that Amon-Ra being out, that the other guys really stepped up. And Josh Reynolds is no surprise, right? I mean, he's got the longest relationship with Jared Goff, and it's a storied relationship that they're very comfortable with each other, and they know what each other is thinking and what they're going to do. So having somebody like that in Jared Goff's back pocket is great when your number one wide receiver is down. And just like we expected, J-Mo was not going to get going today. I was really hoping he would. When I saw him warming up, you guys saw the video that I shared, or maybe you didn't. Some of you did. The guy was dropping passes during, kind of they're playing catch together to warm up. All the wide receivers, they go out on like the 20 and the 30-yard line, and they just throw passes back and forth to each other to warm up. And he was dropping passes there. And that had me nervous. And I posted one of the videos that I took from it. And the first pass he gets in the game, it goes right through his hands. And it's not like some of you said that he was going to get nailed by the linebacker. I didn't see that from my seat. It's quite possible that was going to happen. I did not see that. What I saw was a wide open J-Mo who had a lot of room to run. So I'm going to have to go back and refer to the tape. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just didn't see that. But if that's the case, he probably heard footsteps, and he probably didn't want his welcome back to the NFL moment to be laid out on the canvas. And it was probably a good idea if he missed that ball intentionally. So, at the same time, technically they're not supposed to hit the wide receivers over the middle like that. And that would be a 15-yarder, but 15 yards doesn't do us a damn bit of good if he's laying on the ground and can't come back in the game, right? Or if he can't play the rest of the season, that would just be awful. So I'll have to go back and refer to the tape on that one. We'll see. New name in here. Silas 99J. Not sure what that means, buddy. Amy Jo Hoffman. Glad for the win. Stay healthy, and we'll keep winning. 100%. And I think they ended up the day pretty healthy. Bam Bam Knight, he suffered his injury. We thought Hutchinson took a knee injury, but he came back, so he was fine. If there was anybody else, again, I didn't do any prep for this show at all. I just jumped right in when I got home. So if there's any other injuries that I missed, especially during the game where it can be a little bit nuts, please let me know in the chat. I'd appreciate it. All right, Mike Miller said he would like to see our third quarter improve. Yes, 100%, and that is on my list tonight to talk about. 2 weeks in a row, weak third quarters. Man, I think it's almost been all season. And I want to say it even dates back to last season. At least I don't remember that the Lions have ever came out and started hot in the third quarter. I know for sure it hasn't happened this season. And I know it's something that Ben Johnson has been, talking about in the press conferences. He says he's been talking to the guys about it. And he coaches them by the way of making them aware. That's what he said in a press conference about 4 or 5 days ago, that he makes the guys aware of their deficiencies. And by making them aware, he hopes that collectively they're going to fix it. I don't know if that's the right answer. I'm not a coach. But to me, if you're coming out flat in the third quarter, there's probably a reason for it. Maybe you're running the same type of plays that you were running in the first half. And they've already got that figured out when they come back from halftime and they've made their adjustments on the other side of the ball. The odd thing that happened today is Carolina wanted to go on offense first. Who does that? I mean, I guess there's two ways to think about it, right? I mean, if you win the coin flip in the beginning of the game, I don't know of any team that wants to go on offense first unless you are just that gung-ho that your offense is that good that you're going to go score a touchdown in the first series. Most teams will take the ball in the second half. They're not even going to mess with it. They're going to take the ball in the second half because you have no idea what's about to happen that game, and you want to have, the upper hand. But maybe this was, I guess, strategy, right? Maybe Carolina knew that the Lions come out flat in the third. So let's give them the ball in the third quarter to start the second half because they're going to come out flat anyway. We're not expecting them to score. They're not going to do anything with the ball. So think about that for a second. I mean, you guys agree with me or you disagree? I think there could have been some strategy here. Let me wind back. There's some chats flying in here. I got to catch up. I apologize. Let's see here. David Fox, he said he dropped it and he had room to run. I thought so too. Does everybody else kind of feel the same way here that he had some room there? And Myers Farm said, saw the video and wasn't hopeful either. Gamecast, which is boring, by the way, showed he had a catch for negative yards. Yeah, he did. That is one pass play I really dislike of Ben Johnson's arsenal here. This quick hitch, or it's not really a swing pass, but Goff will take the snap and immediately toss it to his right, to whoever's out on the right. I can't remember the name of the play right now. I don't know why. But anyway, that play has done nothing for us all season long. If anything, we've lost yards on it every single time. Here's my belief. Goff is not the right quarterback for that play. He's too hitchy. He's not fast enough. He's not like a shortstop, and baseball is built to turn and fire. Goff's he's too long. It takes him too long to get the ball out in that case by throwing it to his right. It all starts in the feet. Typically you move your right foot back and that way you can just turn and fire. But somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who's a little bit tighter, right? He's smaller. He's stronger for sure. Smaller frame, better build. He's able to pull that play off. And the Lions, that's not a play that they're going to pull off. I would have much rather have seen the end around there or wide receiver, reverse or something. I think that would have been a much better play call at that point. I don't want to see that quick hitch. I really dislike it unless they're going to run it closer to the line. If they run it tighter to the line in a trips formation, I think it would work. I think Goff can get that one out a lot quicker. And then you'll have, the offensive line that's also there to help, bull rush the defense to get the wide receiver open. So I'd rather see it tighter to the line. You put Laporta up there, you could put Wright up there in a 12 personnel, and then, bring your wide receiver in on a motion and throw it that way. Which I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do it in a motion. I'll have to search that one up on YouTube later. All right, let me see here. What's your opinion? What's my opinion on Goff sacks? I'm going to have to watch video on that. And the only reason why I say that is because when you're at the game and you're watching it, you're kind of watching everything all at once. I'm not able to really key in on what was happening on the left side of the line versus the right side of the line or the middle of the line, what caved in. It did appear though that whether it was the left or the right side, there was a couple of times where they were in right away. And when I mean in right away, there was the DB blitz where he was on Goff in a hurry. And then on the left side of the field, I think his number was 0. So I don't know who the player was for the Panthers. He was in a hurry. And whether they were unblocked, whether it was a scheme thing, I don't know. I've got to look at the tape, and I definitely will this week for sure. I also saw Goff kind of held the ball a little bit today, which he shouldn't have, but he's used to having all day. So he's got that confidence. Hammer. I think that's Hamkiss, yeah? Or Hamkiss. I apologize if I'm bashing your name there. Hopefully they are just too comfortable with their halftime leads, so they come out flat. That's great. I'm ecstatic that we're getting these big halftime leads. But look what's happening in the third and fourth quarter. They're letting these teams come back with garbage yards, garbage time, and they're playing, off the ball. They're not pressing, and they're allowing these teams to not necessarily come back, but they're giving them some points, if you will. They're giving them some stats. And I don't think the Lions care about stats. Look, they don't care about keeping the Panthers under 100 yards on the day or under 200 yards on the day. They care about one stat, and that's the W or the L. That's it. So in their opinion and to their, credit, they don't care about the garbage time. I think what they're trying to do, and which most teams do, is when you have a big lead, it's let's play a defense that's more of the bend, don't break. One, so that you keep them in front of you. You try not to let them score. You let them chew up the clock. And by bending and not breaking, you're also not breaking your players. You're not getting injuries that are unnecessary by playing up in a press man, by stacking the box, by blitzing every down. That's creating more of an opportunity for an injury. And I appreciate that out of AG. I do. I think that they're having the foresight to think to the future, the rest of the season, and what they have left to play for. The Lions are 4-1. Who would have thought the Lions were going to, go 1-6, right? Finish 8-2, and now they're 4-1. This is a new team, everybody. This is a new Detroit Lions, and it's incredible that we're finally able to see something like this happen to our team. And it's a huge credit to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and the rest of that entire crew in Allen Park that has put this together. They have hit really well on all of their draft picks. And I mean, they're getting multiple starters out of every single draft. And that's really nice to see for once, because before we'd get draft picks and they turned out to be busts. We get draft picks and they get sent up creek, within a couple of years, and it's lost draft capital. It's lost money. It's dead cap. And it's time that we finally seen a change there. And I feel like that's one of the things that everybody criticized Brad Holmes for in the first 2 seasons, because he took what we thought were risky picks, but it was quite the opposite. He took picks that were safe. He took picks that he had confidence in. And now we're starting to see that come to fruition, because these guys are football players. They are scheme guys that fit our scheme, right? That fit the culture. And they fit the city of Detroit to a T. So I think it's a blessing in disguise that Brad Holmes was available and he had all the experience that he did in scouting, because it's really showing up right now in the win-loss column for the Detroit Lions. All right, let me get to my notes here, and I'll come back to the chat in just a second. So, let me just go into this play. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, I'm allowed to do this. I don't see why I wouldn't be, because I'm not actually going to play any audio here. But there's this play here that I wanted you guys to see, because in my Friday pre-show, right, I talked about how the Lions should go into a single high safety the majority of the game, and that if they stack the box, and if you see my cursor here, I'm going to start up at the top of the screen where Sutton is. You're going to see where Sutton is going to cover this zone, right? And down here, that should be Jerry Jacobs. He's going to cover this zone. These guys are going to switch. Harris is going to come across the other side of the field. He's going to kick Joseph back, and I believe Walker is going to come up. And Walker should come up and get in on this play with Aiden Hutchinson. And one of the defensive strategies that I spoke about last week was the Lions sitting in either the 4-2-5, right, and having more DBs in, or they might go 5 heavy on the front line and run a 5-4. So with a single high safety, even though there would be 2 safeties there. In this play, it was one of the first plays that I noticed right in the beginning of the game. They went to single high safety and it worked out. So I'm going to play it here. So you're going to see Will Harris here. He's going to follow his man across. He's going to come out and kick Joseph to the back, right? Walker comes up to fill in the other spot. Play goes to the right. Immediately Hutchinson's back there with, guess who? Walker. That's because the DBs are up on the line. Now, when we see it from the other view, right, looks like they're already in their alignment here. You're going to see why this was so critical for these guys to stack this box against this team and try to stop the run. And it also works if they were to pass it, because what's his name? Young, all he does is pass the ball, 5-6 yards. He's constantly passing the ball up here. Right there, they went into their 4-3 alignment. But again, they're getting immediate pressure on Bryce. Ball's going nowhere. All right, I'm going to get out of there before I get a copyright hit. So let me switch here. Here's some stats for us. Come back to that in just a moment. All right, so let me start with Montgomery, man. Actually, let me wind back to Carolina owning the clock. What we saw last week versus the Vikings is Carolina controlled the clock for about 38 minutes of that game. Bryce Young could move the ball down the field, but they could never finish a drive. And when we talked about that last week, it was the same thing that we were going to see with the Lions. They might be able to move the ball. They might chew up a lot of the clock, Some things might have been working well, and that's only because they were going to dink it and dunk it the whole way up the field. And that really didn't fit the model of the Detroit Lions defense to really cover that 5 to 9 yard range very well, unless they changed up what they were going to do, which is what they did in this game. So they were able to do that right out the get go. I want to say the first half, Carolina, and again, I got to wait for the rest of the stats to come out, but I looked at some things at the end of the first quarter. And around the middle of the first half, Carolina had almost twice the amount of time of ball time, right? Clock than the Lions did, play clock. So they had a lot more opportunity with the ball. They just weren't doing anything with it. They would drive, turn it over, drive, have to punt. And that was what we saw throughout the entire game. The Lions came in and would score in 3 plays on the first drive, and then like 4 plays on their second series. They would score very quick, and that's because the Carolina defense couldn't stop anything that the Detroit Lions were putting up. And Ben Johnson was mixing things up very well. So that was the first thing that I wanted to point out, was that Carolina's, clock management, if you will, they owned it. They own the clock again today. I don't believe they finished with the more time than the Lions. Let's see if it's on here. Give me just a sec. Come on. Box score, play-by-play, team stats. Here we go. Yeah, so time of possession. Lions ended up with 31-15. Carolina ended up with 28-45. So towards the end of the game, second half, the Lions really took over with holding the ball, running the ball a lot, and that's where they gained some ground, with possession, if you will. So I'm glad that the Lions were able to stop them as often as they did, and really made it challenging for Carolina to do anything in the red zone. A lot of big stops, and when we get a chance to look at the tape, I think I'm going to be even more impressed, because I can't see everything, while you're there watching the game. All right, let me walk back into some chats here. David Fox says blown assignment on one of the 4 sacks. So who blew their assignment? And I guess I kind of expected that with them getting back in there, so quick. Mike Miller, how impressed are you with Laporta? I can't say enough about Laporta. I did not expect Laporta to do this well this quickly. I thought that he would get 500 yards, 40 catches, a handful of TDs for the whole season, and that would have been an excellent season for him. Excellent. It would have been above average for a rookie tight end, but right now I think that Laporta could be pushing some boundaries, and he might do some things. Could the kid even make a Pro Bowl? If he ends up the number 1 tight end this season, does he make a Pro Bowl? I don't know. I don't know if anyone's talking about it, but I am. Could he get offensive player of the year? I don't know. I'd have to look and see what everybody else is doing. Rookie offensive player of the year, I mean. Your second part, Holmes got the right tight end info in the draft for sure. He did. And you know why? It's because he went to tight end U to find him. Last Friday, or yesterday, whenever it was, I said that Laporta was going to have another good game. I put out my stats and predictions this morning before the game, and I thought he'd get his touchdown in 80 yards. And he didn't get quite 80 yards, but he got 2 touchdowns. And he's finding a way to get open. The thing that I love the most about Laporta is the kid is a blocker. He's an athlete. He's a pass catcher. And he really does the right things technically, mechanically. He's sound. He's been taught the right way. He's accepted his training from his peers and his coaches, because it's showing up in every single opportunity he gets. And I don't think it's going to stop, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop him. I can only imagine the day that we get J-Mo and Gibbs and everybody going all at the same time. I don't think there's a defense in the league that's going to be able to stop us. If you can't stop the Lions now, when we have half the guys in, half the big threats in, when or how are you going to be able to stop them when they have them all? It's not possible. You don't have enough players on the field that can contend with that amount of speed and skill. It's just not on any team that I've seen so far this season. The teams that were supposed to be great are struggling right now. And that's good news for the Detroit Lions. All right, keep moving here. David Fox was piggybacking off of you, Mike Biller. He said he's so impressed with with Laporta. He's my starter on fantasy, also drafted for my fantasy. That's awesome. Did you pick him up because nobody else did, during the season, or did you actually pick him up prior to the fantasy season starting? Maybe he was going to be a bench player, somebody to fill in on, an injury. I'm not really in a lot of fantasy this season. This is the first time I don't have 6 or 7 teams going. I just don't have the time. And I did join one league that I'm not doing a great job in because I just don't have the time. But if you picked up Laporta, you are winning the tight end battle. That's for sure. Monty was a steal. Yeah, I'd say that Monty's doing an excellent job for us. Look, it's early. We're 5 games into the season. And he's proven to us that he's a bruising, type of back. He's somebody that's going to lower the shoulder and he's going to find the hole. One of the notes that I made on Monty, let me find it here. Montgomery is a heat-seeking missile. That's my note on Monty. He's a heat-seeking missile. And I know that some people say that about Branch too, but Monty really is a heat-seeking missile. He will find the hot hole, right, and follow it and hit it and blow it up, and he's gone. Or he had a really nice run today to open up the game for that long touchdown. I don't even know how many yards it was, 40, 30, but he really had a nice run. I think it was off the left end and made a nice jump cut to the outside, at least from what I saw, and got free. And he outran some people. When's the last time we've seen a running back playing for the Detroit Lions outrun somebody? Swift always got caught from behind all the time. He could never run a full length run with, for more than 30, 40 yards without getting caught from behind. And I don't understand that because he's not getting caught this year playing for the Eagles for whatever reason. All right. Feels good to have a legit defense, doesn't it though? I mean, when's the last time we could say that? 2014 is the last time I remember the Lions having a legit defense. And this defense is better than that defense. And we still don't have all of our players in. Really sad to see Mosley go down tonight. From what I understand, and this could be wrong because I need more information and we won't find out more until probably tomorrow or the next day. But it was his right knee this time. I think his ACL was his left knee. This was the right knee. So if he just banged up the right knee and he's, down again for another year, we'll never see Mosley back in a Lions uniform. And since I'm on the DB topic, let me ask you guys a question, because this I was thinking about tonight. And I don't know if I got it when I was listening to the Lions Syndicate that somebody was talking about it that called in that had a really good point, but it just jogged my brain a little bit. CJ Gardner-Johnson, if he's able to come back in December, or the Lions make a playoff run, and he's able to come back, let's say, for the first playoff game, then that's his first game back. Or maybe he gets into the last game of the regular season. Would you want him to play right away? Would you want him to immediately come in and start after sitting out this entire season in how well this defense is playing, and not just the defense, but how well these defensive backs are working together and communicating together? And I haven't seen him playing this well in a long time. Look, I called Jerry Jacobs a liability 3 weeks ago. I called him a liability 2 weeks ago. And he went out and got 2 interceptions that day, or that game. And he got another one tonight. So either he's listening to the critics, or he's finally catching his rhythm because he's now operating with defensive backs that can help him, that can coach him, that are also very good. He's benefiting from the guys around him. He's getting thrown at a lot. He's getting a lot of opportunities. And one of his interceptions was a tipped ball, I believe, by Anzalone last week. So back to CJ Gardner-Johnson. My point is this. If he hasn't played for 9, 10 games, 11, 12, 13, whatever it's going to be, if He hasn't played that many games, and he's able to come back in, and this defense is playing well. I mean, shutting guys down. I mean, they're doing really well. Would you really want to stick him back in the rotation? And that's a tough one, right? That's a tough nut to crack because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, CJ Gardner-Johnson's your number one safety. But if he's not, playing with a team that's doing well, do you really want to upset the apple cart? I don't know that I do. The same thing's being said about JMO. Like, this wide receiver room is doing well. So why would you upset it by bringing somebody in that, hasn't really had any time to work with the guys, and, he could really throw everything off. So what's your answer? Let me know in the chat. I'm interested to know. Man, I got a lot of chats to get through. I better burn through these. Give me just a second. Let me back up. Feels good to have a legit defense from Mike. It does. I'm so happy to see Monty in there. He gives confidence that we'll gain yards. Yeah, I mean, he's gaining 5 yards a clip. It's really nice to see this Lions defense be able to run the ball, jam it down your throat, and know that when we need 5, we're going to get 5. When we need 3, we're going to get 3. If we need more, we'll get it. It's nice to see. Christian Rowe says, JMO surprised me with his downfield blocking today, honestly. Yes, he did. And that's one of my points today. I saw JMO up in the right side of the field, literally hand fighting with one of the cornerbacks. And, fighting off his hands because he was trying to get handsy with JMO, and JMO's fighting him off and made a couple of nice blocks. And he made some nice blocks downfield. Monty wouldn't have done what he did today without some of those blocks. So JMO did a good job in that regard today. He can always get better. He's not the biggest guy. He can get tossed around a little bit. But he did an excellent job today with that. And I guess, if he's not catching the ball, if he's not making an impact there, at least be the what? Decoy. Decoy. Be a decoy, set a block, free your guy. And that works both in the running game, and the passing game. David Fox, the receiver on that left side, missed a block by a long shot. Yeah, that must be one of the plays that we're talking about. Goff got sacked. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some tape and see what happened where. Drafted him. I'm not following that one, David. I apologize. Myers Farm, Michigan's tight end alternate went to Iowa because of what he saw with Laporta. Who was that? Which Michigan tight end went to? What did they go to the portal and get picked up by Iowa? Is that what happened? I'm not surprised. Look, Iowa is the best tight end school on the planet. They produce them, and they produce them at a high level. David Fox, 40 or more. I'm so far past what I was saying earlier. I apologize, David. I'm not following your message. If you want to send it all in one more time, I'll put it back up. Monty went for 42 yards on that play. There we go. So that's what you're talking about. David was 40, Mike Miller 42. I got you now. See what happens when I'm by myself and I can't get to all the messages on time. I really apologize. I wish I had the screen like they could just pop up, and when they pop up, I can read them. And yeah, I'll need some help from somebody on that one. Answer is no. I think you risk injury. I wouldn't. Again, see, I'm way beyond that, and I already forgot what we were talking about there. Help us grow our channel and network, KF Podcasters. What is this? That's from me. I don't know why that's up there. I don't know where that even came from. That's really odd. I guess we're saying our own stuff to each other now. But we can always read this one, to support our page, website, and media growth. Please feel free to donate via Facebook Stars. You don't have to do that. Look, just follow, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. That's all we really want you to do. These automatic messages that were built in a long time ago, they just got to get deleted. Mike Miller again, what a complete game. Great job, man. Yes, it was. And that was one of the first messages. So I'm going to move on. And I'm going to move into the last question that I was talking about Gardner. So Mike Miller says, I'd play Gardner no matter what. He's a dog. If it's not working early, you pull him, but I believe he's an asset and a leader. See, that's where I'm on the fence, because he is a very wise guy in his, not only as a wise guy, as a talker, but he's a very wise beyond his years type of cornerback. And he really knows how to play the game well, and he knows how to get his guys in line. He does get handsy at times, though. He does have some difficulty with his hands, but that doesn't mean that the only thing that I worry about is that he's not going to come into the game right. He's going to come into the game kind of rusty. He's not going to come in, you know, with a bunch of time underneath him throughout the season, and playing time, and that the chemistry with the guys that that have been doing it all season long, and how they're playing and their understanding of each other. I don't know if a lot of people know this about the defensive back position, but when they're back there, they cannot hear each other, right? They do a lot of hands motions, and trying to get guys to move and get in the right position, or you'll see them tapping their back or their side or their butt. They've got all sorts of cues like you would see like in baseball, and you're trying to give a sign. DBs have to use the same thing because they can't hear. When we're out screaming as fans, right? They cannot hear. So it's very difficult for them to queue up on each other and know what the other one is about to do unless they have a sign. And if the sign is breaking down, if they don't see the sign, it's all about understanding your guy and having that sixth sense, right? And knowing where they're going to be and what they're thinking. You literally have to, what do they call it? ESP or something. They have to have like an interconnection, brain wavelengths here to know what the other guy's thinking and what he's going to do. And look, you could Google it, and I guarantee you'll find someone talking about it. You'll find a DB talking about that exact thing, that they need to have a certain chemistry to be able to know what the other guy's going to do. And that's what helps them win games. That's what helps them, get in the right alignment and win their reps. So that's the one thing that I worry about. It's the chemistry. All right, let's see here. Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden last year caught my wrath through the first 6 or 7 weeks. Well deserved, though. I wrote a lot of things about Aiden Hutchinson last season, about all the opportunities that he missed, all the assignments that he blew, all the containment that he ran past, or he let up big holes for mobile quarterbacks to run, 2 semis through. And there was over 700 plus yards on the ground off his edge through his gaps in the first 5 or 6 weeks. And then things started to change for Aiden, and he started to get a little bit better. I didn't care about the sacks in the Washington game because I felt like they're kind of garbage to me, only the way they happened. I wanted to see the plays that Aiden would get in there and change the game, change the play, change the field for the team, right? We started to see that towards the end of last season. We definitely saw it in the Green Bay games. This season, we're seeing it almost every game, albeit the first 2 games, little rough, right? But the last 3 games, Aiden's really playing well. So Aiden has a pick and a sack tonight. Smoke and a pancake, cigar and a waffle, a bong and a blitz, whatever you want to call it. Aiden's doing it, and he's doing it at a high level. When he made that interception tonight, I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is the second time this guy has snatched the ball out of midair with one hand while running in front of a quarterback. He's got some hands for a big guy. He's very agile. I'm beginning to see now what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell saw in him. He was raw coming out of Michigan, and I know a lot of you Michigan fans don't believe that, but he was, and he still kind of is. He primarily had a bull rush, and it's that bull rush that would get him into trouble. He didn't have a second and a counter, right? He didn't have the hand fighting game and to be able to bat the hands away and get past the blocker, with that second or that counter. Aiden's starting to really develop it well. I can't wait to see where he's going to be in his third season. Aiden is going to be big time trouble. As he gets more confidence, right? And as these guys are able to talk back and forth and understand what they're doing and have this chemistry and trust, and that's one of my biggest bullet points tonight is trust. This team is developing trust. And when a team develops trust and they pick up momentum and they start to win battle after battle and play after play, it's going to get dangerous in a hurry for any team that comes in front of them. They're not going to be able to stop them. What we're witnessing right now as Lions fans is unprecedented in Motown, or at least for the last 3 decades, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of ball games, and I've seen a lot of bad teams. I've seen some good teams. Matt Stafford really could have benefited from a defense like this and a wide receiver core like this and a couple of running backs like this and an offensive line like this. He really could have. He had a couple of good squads. They just couldn't get it done. But outside of Matt Stafford in a couple of teams that he had, this Lions offense and defense has not been this good in a long time or this well coached. Yeah, Campbell makes his mistakes, right? He learns from them, though. I don't think Campbell has ever made the same mistake twice. And that's what he's also expecting out of his team. Look, we're going to learn. We're going to grow together. We're going to have great games. We're going to have some bad games. But the goal is you learn from it. You put it on a shelf. You walk away. You move on to the next one, and you get better. And that's what they're doing week in and week out. They had a rough game against Seattle. Look what they did the next week. 7 sacks. If that doesn't show you guys and make you believers into what this team is able to do, I don't know what will. But today was just another epic story within the story. And the Detroit Lions beat the Carolina Panthers 42-24, and no, that 24 shouldn't even have been 24. There's some points scored in the fourth quarter by Carolina that just shouldn't have happened. But they did, and they did because they're playing bend but don't break. They're playing prevent defense. They're playing let's just, finish the game and not get injured. So you're going to see that. And I'm okay with that. Reynolds, man, Josh Reynolds is next on my list right now. Reynolds had a very big game today. Let me get to some stats. Box score here. We'll do some team stats first. Lions had 23 first downs today. They were beating first downs. Carolina had 26. I have a feeling a lot of that happened in the fourth quarter. And that's okay. The Lions had it wrapped up in the second quarter. The Lions ran 60 plays to Carolina's 65. Total yards, the Lions finished with 377. Carolina finished with 342. They shouldn't have had a penny more than 250, to be honest with you. But again, it's this bend but don't break, finish the game kind of defense. Total drives, the Lions had 11. Carolina had 10. The Lions averaged 6.3 yards per play. They put up 218 yards through the air. Goff was about 72% through the air in his completion rate, 20 of 28. He was getting 7.3 yards per pass. No mystery that Bryce Young is only averaging about 5.8 yards per pass. Like we spoke about last Friday, he throws everything below the 9-yard line or 9 yards and in from the line of scrimmage. I predicted that the Lions should get at least 2 interceptions today. They did. They got exactly 2. And if you guys watch the show or pay attention to any of my predictions, I do try to put a little bit of time into those. Those aren't just things that I write down. I really do try to look at it from an analytical perspective and put something on paper that should make sense. Fairly close. I've been doing a pretty good job. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying go bet on them or anything, but we've been doing a pretty good job with it. And it's just reading all these darn stats that, it's the law of averages, in my opinion, that kind of helps me get there. Lions took 2 sacks. Bryce Young only took 1. But he was under a lot of pressure, and I don't have pressure stats in front of me. I will tomorrow, and then when I come back and break down some tape, we'll see just how much pressure he really had. Rushing, Lions held the Panthers to 99 yards. So again, I don't think any team has had more than 100 yards on the Lions this entire season. I don't think they've let up 100 yards in any single game. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that they're only letting up about 70 yards a game, which was the league's best. Lions put up 159 yards on the ground on 30 attempts, 5.3 yards per rush. That's pretty darn good. 3 touchdowns by the ground. Yep, the giraffe, Jared Goff, he got another rushing TD today. When I saw him running, man, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, look at the wheels. Look at Goff go. It's funny when he runs. And he gets on me for calling him a giraffe. But I don't know what else to call him. He just looks like a big old giraffe. He's so long and lanky and shouldn't be running the ball. All right, box score. So Jared Goff, like I said, he was 20 of 28, 236, 3 TDs. He had 3 in the air, 1 on the ground. David Montgomery was 109 yards on the ground on 19 carries. He broke 1 for 42, which was a touchdown. Craig Reynolds, in the limited time that he got in, he was 7 rushes for 52 yards. He was moving the ball pretty good. That's 7.42 yards a carry. That's incredible. Again, limited time that he got in, but he did an excellent job. Teddy Bridgewater even got in for 2 carries minus 2 yards. How come I don't remember Teddy Bridgewater getting in the game? Did Goff come out for a play? Maybe he did. I don't remember that. All right, let's see here. I'm going to get to these questions here in just a minute. So, Mike, I see your question here. How do I feel about Tampa? I'm going to come back to that one. Andy's doing much better. He's still recovering, but he is doing a lot better. They did get in front of it, so he shouldn't have any long-term, symptom side effects from the stroke. But he's only a week out, so he's still got to get through it. He might be back next week. We'll see. How many 4th downs did we go for? I don't think we went for many today. I don't think we had to. Let me go back to the other stats here. 4th downs. 4th down efficiency. We only went for 2. We were 50%, 1 for 2. Carolina was 1 for 1. The Lions were not in bad field position all day. They weren't having problems moving the ball. It was almost like, all right, we got the ball. We're going to go score a touchdown is the way it felt every time they got the ball. And one time when they flipped the field, I think it was the 3rd into the 4th quarter, we were ecstatic because we were on that end zone where they were coming down to put the ball like on the 2-yard line and score a touchdown. 2 plays later, they scored a touchdown. All right. I'm going to jump out of the stats for just a moment here and get to your question, Mike Miller. In the Tampa, I'm going to tell you all the work is going to come this week. As far as my overall feeling on Tampa, I feel like it's going to be a tough game. So here's this question. How do you feel about Tampa? Me, he's not worried. They are a fake 3-1 team. Baker will be running for his life. So do you view Tampa as what Minnesota Vikings were last season? Is that safe to say? But while you're answering that, one of my other points, my other takeaways from the game, obviously I already said that Jerry is on fire right now. His confidence is riding high. Jerry Jacobs is playing well. I'm glad to see that he's turned his game around. He's going to be a big asset for this defensive back room going forward, as long as he can continue playing the way that he's playing right now. Ben Johnson. That was my next big moment of the day is I met somebody new and sitting in front of me. And he turns around and he says, Ben Johnson's gone. And I didn't know what he meant at first. I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I started to think, I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, Ben Johnson's gone. He's not coming back next season. He's going to be a head coach of an NFL team. 100%, hands down. I don't know why he would stay. I don't know if there's enough money, and I don't think money matters. I think that Ben Johnson, when you listen to him talk in his press conferences, when you see the way that he conducts his business and the way that he prepares his team, he has every right to be running an NFL football team right now. And I think he's going to do a hell of a job. But his trickery was on display. The what was it today? What did I call it? The reverse flea flicker or something like that today. Nobody could figure out what they did. Nobody had a name for that flea flicker that wasn't just a flea flicker. It was like a fake reverse flea flicker or something like that. And it worked. And his trickery, it just keeps coming out of the bag, and it comes out at the right time. And he needs to hold some of those. We need some of those for a little bit later on in the season. So the last point that I had tonight is about the defense, man. We knew that this offense was going to be great, or at least they had all the tools to be great. They had a pretty loaded toolbox with a good coach, wonderful offensive coordinator, but we didn't know what this defense was going to do. And I dare say the last 3 games, the defense is winning these games. Yes, the offense is still going in and scoring points and doing their thing. Hands down, they're both equally responsible for these wins. But today, the Lions scored 21 points off of turnovers, or off of the defensive turnovers. And that's winning games. Now, it wouldn't have won the game if, they still would have let Carolina score 24 and they only put 21 points up. No, they wouldn't have won the game. But I think you get what I'm saying here. The defense is finally doing what they're supposed to do as a defense, and that's to help create opportunities for the offense and to stop the other team, the opposing team, from doing whatever they want. And they've been doing that, and they've been doing it at a high level. They've been able to get stops when they need them. They've been able to get big plays when they need them. And today was just another display of this defense taking another big growth step forward. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen the rest of the season, and I know you guys are all too. Did anyone else have any other questions other than Tampa? Yes, Tampa feels like Atlanta coming 2-0 versus us, same results. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so let me give you the long answer on Tampa, or as long of an answer as I can give you on Tampa, because I don't have anything really prepared on them just yet. And I did not watch. I don't even know if they played today. And if they did, obviously I didn't see it. So, look, Baker is a quarterback that you can never count out. And last season, in the season before that, people blamed him for a lot of things. I don't think that Baker's the problem. I think that Baker is a solution on any team. He is questionable in his leadership at times, right? But I think he's growing. I think he's growing up and he's maturing. But Baker has an immense amount of talent. And he does have some legs, but it's his arm that I worry about more. He's able to thread that ball in tight places and make all of the throws. Look, you thought Matt Stafford was a magician with the football, and he is. That guy can bend his arm in directions it shouldn't bend and make throws that he shouldn't be able to throw. Baker can do the same thing. And if Mike Evans is healthy, this could be a tough game, for any of our DBs to stop Mike Evans. But if our defense has even a lackluster performance, like if they played half as well as they did today, we'll probably lose that game. They have to come out and play as well as they played today and better to be able to win this game. Tampa's defense is not, and again, I'm going to have to dig into everything, but Tampa's defense is not some pushover. Matter of fact, let's see where they're ranked right now. As of 2 days ago, let's try that again. As of 2 days ago, NFL team defensive rankings through week 4, total defense. Lions were ranked 4th. Buccaneers were 15th. Smack dab in the middle. And they've only allowed 6 TDs through 4 weeks. Where, let's see, if you look at the Patriots, 10th ranked defense, they've let up 10 TDs. If you look at the Falcons, 7th ranked defense, they let up 8 TDs. Or the Lions, 4th ranked defense, they let up 9 TDs. So from an overall, and I know the overall ranking really doesn't mean much, but if you just look at it from that perspective alone, the Lions were what, a 20th ranked defense or so in week 2 against Seattle? I don't remember. But that if that defense shows up, we're in trouble. If the defense that played today shows up, we have a chance at winning. But if a Buccaneers defense shows up and we don't have all of our guys in, or if we suffer any sort of injuries, we're in trouble on that side of the ball too. So let me dive into the tape this week. Let me watch, some of their games and see how well they're playing and look at some of their stats. I hate to throw a lot out there other than I can tell you this. It's not going to be an easy game. And just like today, I warned everybody that it could have been, a quote unquote trap game or a game that, the Lions could be overlooking or fans are overlooking. And we were proven wrong that the Lions were ready, right? They weren't going to do what they did against Seattle. They weren't going to ride a victory too high and then come game time be too low. They stayed even. I think they learned a lesson, a very valuable lesson after the Chiefs game and what they did against Seattle, because right now this team should be 5-0. Hands down, they should be 5-0. So I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. I don't think AG is going to let them make that mistake again. But yeah, I don't think Dan Campbell's going to let them make that mistake again. And let's just hope that they don't. So we're on to the Bucks. I'm going to come back in a couple of days. It is Sunday night, so I'll probably come back around Tuesday. I'll drop some links. I want to break down some of the tape today. I want to look at some things. I want to look at it with you guys. So I got to record some tape, find some plays, and try to get it set up so that we could go through it. I'd love to have you guys jump in. Hey, I want to say thanks to Lions Syndicate again, Derek. It was nice to meet you, man. And thanks for the shout out on your show tonight. I did go back and watch the beginning, and I heard that. So I wanted to reciprocate. Again, go watch Lions Syndicate. He's a good dude. Does a great job on his show, and someone that I would love to work with here, and maybe we can have him on as a guest or vice versa. And you guys would love to hear some of the stuff that he says, and hopefully we'll get it done. We'll see what happens. All right. Last thing I'll mention for today is I really wanted to do some super fan interviews this morning. It was a little windy, a little cold, and I didn't really feel like it was going to work out the best. But I had a conversation with the guys this morning, and we're going to do a show. We'll have some of the super fans on to talk with everybody, and this is going to be a phenomenal show for you guys to get in on. I did one similar to this last season, and the guys are great, man. Learning their history, listening to them talk about, the Detroit Lions and how long they've been doing it. It's truly an inspiring, group of guys that have been doing this stuff a long time and what it takes to become a super fan. And for some of us that didn't even know that stuff existed, and now how hard we have to work to get that claim to fame and be part of that eclectic group. and where that passes down, from generation to generation to continue on the Lions brand and the Lions fandom, if you will, from, generation to generation. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. And got another question that just popped in here. What days are we on this week? So we're always on Fridays and Sundays. Friday is usually about 6:30. Sunday is right after the game. Of course, if they play on a Monday, it'll be after a Monday night game. If they play on a Thursday or a Saturday, whatever day they play, we'll be on right after that, about an hour after the game. If I'm at the game, if it's a home game, I'm going to be at the game. So I won't come on until about 4 or 5 hours after, or as quickly as I can. Tonight we got home in a decent time. So we went on at 8. But what I do, though, is I put all of the information out on the Facebook pages. If you go to our events section on the Facebook pages, all of our events will be listed there if I have them uploaded. It'll just be an event that says, episode 47, the date, the time. But just check back and see if those times change. They typically don't, but like today's did. But I'll keep loading those things up. I'll probably load a bunch of them up just so they're in there. The only reason why I haven't gone out for weeks is because sometimes I do bonus content, last minute content, and it kind of throws all the episodes out of whack. It's it's just growing pains of learning how to set it up the right way or do it the right way. Maybe I need to quit saying episode numbers so then I won't have to worry about it. But anyway, so I'm always on Fridays and Sundays, but I do pop-up shows. I do random shows that, depending on what's going on. And pretty soon we're going to start going on every day. It's just getting to that point where I have the freedom to do it. Or the people to do it. I'm still trying to find a producer that can produce everything for me. And that way I don't have to mess with it. Then I'll have more time. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate everyone, as usual, for joining Rock Down Detroit Lions. Again, this was Panthers at Ford Field getting their butts kicked 42-24, I believe was the final score. 42-24. This is the post-game wrap-up show. Please do us a favor and visit villainsquad.store. If you want to elevate your t-shirt game, that's the place to do it. Villainsquad.store. There's, I don't know, 80 different designs by now. A lot of great stuff, good prices. I mean, a lot of the shirts are under $28. You can't even buy an NFL, branded t-shirt for less than $45 in most places. So you can get them, half the price of an NFL shirt. They're great quality. They're designed by yours truly or some of the people that we know and work with, and it helps support our channel. But most importantly, the easiest and the best way to support us, if you like what you heard here tonight, tell a friend. And if you really want to help us grow, just like, share, and subscribe. We've got like 17,000 members and followers between our page and our group. We've only got about 140 followers on our YouTube. That's where we need people to subscribe. We need people to get into the YouTube so you can help us monetize. And if we monetize, then we're able to bring more people in. We're able to do more giveaways and give away more tickets or whatever, like we did this season. All that stuff just comes out of my pocket. I take care of all that stuff to hand out to people because that's what we want to do. We want to be a channel that gives back. We want to be a channel that engages the fans and build everything together. So when we do monetize, all of that stuff goes back to the channel. It goes back to our people that are following, and they get opportunities to win things. We still have about 10 days left for this, newest sports page award that we're trying to win through Facebook. And all it requires is people going to Rock Down Detroit Lions, the Facebook page, liking, commenting, anything that we share to the group from that page, liking, commenting, and sharing as much as possible. But you can only share it from the Rock Down Detroit Lions page because you can't share from a group. That's the only caveat. So do us a favor, visit Rock Down Detroit Lions Facebook page, like, share, comment, follow, tell a friend, whatever you got to do. That's how we win. And we want to win like the Detroit Lions are winning right now. Then we need your support. And we appreciate all you guys for jumping in. So thank you again. It's nice to see, y'all jumping in again tonight, and we'll see you in a couple of days. And we're going to do some game tape together, and we'll have some fun with it. So we'll talk to you. Go Detroit Lions. One pride. Until next time. See you later. Bye.
So, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one. It'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. Doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Stewart. He caught it. Billy Stewart with a first down. Oh, the big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, CJ Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
Cohen, things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser.